how do we give an account of organizations on an ontological perspective? This is my question, and I want to try to give a definition of organization that would capture many types, all the types of organizations, and I want to try to provide an ontology of organization. And of course, I'm going to do that using basic formal ontology as the upper level ontology. So here you can find listed a lot of types of examples of types of organizations, schools, universities, rock bands, criminal organizations. All these kinds of organizations are really different from each other, but they have something in common. So I try to find what is common to all these kinds of organizations. And one thing, simple element, is that they all have members. And in many cases, in most cases, these members are people, but they can also be other organizations. For instance, intergovernmental organizations such as the United Nations or the European Union, they have as members other organizations, not people. And another simple element common to all these kinds of organizations is that they have a structure that defines the roles that the members play in these organizations. So in the literature on the metaphysics of organizations, the ontology of organizations, there are two main, let's say, theories about the nature of organizations, or more in general about social groups. One according to which groups, organizations are plurality, so they are people. Other theories claim that organizations are sort of abstract structures. And so these are, so to say, the two elements that I picked up before, people or members of organizations and structures. So also in the, if you go to the ontology of for biomedical investigations and you look at the term organization, you will find that in the editor note, they didn't decide whether if an organization is an aggregate, an object aggregate, or dependent continuant. So I want to try to do my part, and I'm going to say that an organization is a material entity, is an object aggregate, and here I use the universal object aggregate that we found in BFO. So an object aggregate is a material entity, and it is a collection of objects whose parts are exhausted by the object that form this collection. This universals is really useful in order to understand organizations, because one feature of organizations, very important, is that they preserve identity through time. So even if they change the members that are member parts of the organizations, they still preserve identity. And so new members will play the roles that were played before by other members. And the organization will preserve their identity through time. And the universal object aggregate we find in BFO allows this, because it says that although a collection of objects loses some members and gains some other members, it still preserves its identity over time. But I think there's a problem in the notion of there's a problem concerning object aggregate in BFO. So because BFO says that if something is a member part of something else, then it is also a continuant part of that thing. And this means that the actions that are true for continuant part, the relation continuant part of, they have to be true also of the member part of relation. But this is a problem for organizations. So let's take transitivity that says that if X is a part of Y and Y is a part of Z, then X is a part of Z. So this is not true in the case of the member part of relation. Take again the case of the United Nations. Obama or Trump, for that matter, is part of the US government. And the US government is a member of the United Nations. But it doesn't follow from that that Obama or Trump are members of the United Nations. So it doesn't, for the relation member part of, the transitivity is not, doesn't count. Also, another problem is the axiom of weak supplementation. And that basically says that if X is a proper part of Y, so if X is a part of Y and X is not identical with Y, then there is some Z that doesn't overlap with X. So so there's another part that is not identical with X. So this is also, this might be a limit case, but there can be examples of organizations with just one member. Of course, usually organizations are not created with only just one member, but it can be the case that it is possible that tomorrow at the Department of Philosophy everyone quits except for the chair, and then the chair starts to hire new faculty, and then the Department of Philosophy is repopulated again. So it seems that even at the point where there was just one member of the Department of Philosophy, there was still a Department of Philosophy, if we assume that it is an organization. So, and in that case, the axiom is not true, because you have a member of the organization, and you don't have another part that is not that member. So the weak supplementation axiom doesn't work for this case. So I want to claim that the member part of relation is not a merological relation, although it seems that it sounds like a merological relation because there's the term part in that. And so it has to be defined a different way, not as a subkind of the continuum part relation. I will move to the other element of the two that I mentioned before. So I said that an organization is an object aggregate, and I said that another important element that characterizes organizations is a structure. So here I mentioned Berry's work on organizations and the organigram, and for Berry, and if I misinterpret you, then you correct me or I lose some points. Organizations have a hierarchical structure. So the main relation is that of authority, which holds between roles in the organizations, not between the members of the organization. And this structure is represented by something that is called an organigram. This is a slide I took from Berry's talk on organizations. And as you can see, there's a single root node at the very top, and at the bottom you find all the other roles that have at most one superordinate. And I think that this is a good way to capture the structure of organizations. But I think that this captures only one aspect of organizations. So it may be true that many organizations have a hierarchical structure, a strictly hierarchical structure where there's just one role at the very top. But it is also true that it is not the only relation that you can find in organizations. And so there's not only the authority relation, but there are roles like advice or supervise or to coordinate or to control. And these are not necessarily authority relations. Another problem that I pointed out is that if we take this the organigram as a representation of an organization, then the U.S. government or any government that maintains the separation of powers, so executive, judiciary, and legislative power, is not an organization because there is no top-level role, and the reason why there's no top level is that it's not an aberration. It was invented. The separation of powers was invented in order to have no top authority at the very top. And so I want to claim that, just as in the case of the organigrams, it is true that the structure of the organization can be represented by nodes and edges, but the relation between these nodes is not only a relation of authority. And I want to claim that the organizational structure of an organization is a role aggregate, and which is the output of a speech act that can be in many cases, in many contemporary cases, a document act. So my definition of organization is a subtype of object aggregate that bears some organizational structure. The members of the organizations of this object aggregate can be either people or other organizations. And the organizational structure, which is this aggregate role, defines all the roles of the members of the organization and also the overall role of the organization. I would say function of the organization, but it has a different meaning in BFO, so I'm not going to say that. So this is a diagram representing a minimal ontology of organization. As you can see, there's the organizational structure, which is a role aggregate and has member part roles, and people or organizations bear this role. So this is the diagram with also BFO, the BFO universals in orange. And while we take a look at that, I'm going to mention some issues that one might have with my account of organizations. One is that, well, I still have to define exactly the member-party relation, and also other element like the speech act, and so more work needs to be done. But another problem is that, and also a problem of vagueness. So the structure of the organization may change. So some roles can be left out, and some other roles can be added. But we want to say that the organization still is still the same. However, I think that this problem, we don't have to face this problem really, because it really depends on the kinds of organizations. So you will have different identity conditions over time, which will be different from the different kind of organization we're analyzing. So another issue is that I talked about people and organizations, but in a certain way, also robots can be members of organization if they play a particular role in an organization. So maybe I should leave open not only the membership to an organization, not only to people and other organizations, but also to robots. And so another thing is that the last problem is that I didn't put suborganization in my presentation because I still have to figure out if a suborganization is a continuum part. And I would like to say that it is a continuum part of an organization or it is a member part. The problem with that is the same I showed before. So there's a problem of transitivity and of weak supplementation. So more work needs to be done at this point, but I think this is the right way to go if you want to characterize organizations. Thank you. Yeah, Fernanda, I think you...
What's the difference for you between robots and the software?
Honestly, I didn't think about that. I was just thinking about some non-human playing some roles. So also software, if you distinguish between a robot and software, also maybe software can play a role in being member of an organization. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I would argue they're not roles, they're functions. Doesn't a robot perform a function?
Yeah. So
you're lucky.
if it works.
Yeah, this is because it's not. It's sort of intrinsic to for the entity, not for the. Yes, this would work.
Do you have to know that you're a member?
No, absolutely no. I didn't.
So like a daycare
account of the organization. So also you might be part of member part of an organization even if you're not willing to. So for instance, a jail is an organization, a prison is an organization, and prisoners are not willing to be part of this organization, but still they're member part.
So why not non-humans, like animals then? Like a zoo or something like that? If you don't have to know, what's making the difference for you?
So, what kind of organization would be like a zoo?
Why isn't aren't the animals members like a student would be in a class or something like that?
So I guess, in a certain sense, they could be part of the organization. But yeah, like in the case of the robots, I didn't think about that.
That was easy.